Well, let's start off with the reality of pregnancy and childbirth. When I gave birth in the 1970s, as we talked about in the introduction, Lamaze, Bradley, and Grantley Dick Reed, and then the natural birth movement that exploded in the late 1970s and is carried through the conversation today has really focused on women who have low risks, normal pregnancy and births. And this has started how women are mean to each other, really honestly, and it's divided childbirth, home versus hospital, midwife versus doctor, natural versus medical, interventions versus no interventions. It can go on, breastfeeding versus bottle feeding, staying at home with your baby, going to work with your baby. On and on, women do this to each other, and it's been crazy. And women do it in a mean-spirited way often. I had a home birth. You had a cesarean. Who cares? Really, honestly, it's your baby's birth. That's the only birth you care about. Why should your cesarean birth be any less dignified than a woman having a home birth? And why do you assume that a home birth is great for every woman who has one? So you need to understand that when these three men first came forward with skills, it was the first idea that there were any skills. I've lived and worked in many, many traditional communities where there's no medical care. I haven't been involved in birth, but you talk about birth because there's pregnancy and childbirth in communities. Every traditional community has a healthcare system that desperately tries in pregnancy to prevent problems in births. And every traditional health system has some things to do in birth to try to prevent really weird things like bleeding from happening. And every culture has things to do about afterbirth, how you take care of a newborn, how you take care of a baby. But across the planet, there has never been a concept that we can all become skilled to birth our baby. This is very new. Just as that we see each other as one humanity now, but behave as though we're all separate from each other. So you need to understand Lamaze, Bradley, and Grantley Dick Reed started something. Unfortunately, they focused on only low-risk women. When Birthing Better Families started to develop the Birthing Better skills, we focused on all births because our baby's birth was important to us. And so here is the reality. Women are either pregnant or not. Women who are not pregnant are not interested in this topic, usually unless they want to get pregnant. When we're pregnant, we know, we are hardwired to know we are going to give birth. 100% of pregnant women will give birth. We can have a termination or an abortion. That is still the birth of our baby. We know what we are doing. We can have a miscarriage. That may not even be a baby in there, but we still consider it to be a birth. Then we can have a birth. When we think of pregnancy and birth, because there is such a distorted conversation around childbirth now that has been led by the natural birth movement, that calls pregnancy and childbirth normal life events that rarely require medical care. So what does the word normal mean? So the natural birth movement, it means easy, safe, good outcome, easy to do, manageable, no problem there. But the word normal in pregnancy and childbirth around the world means anything that can happen might happen, but it might not happen. In other words, if you have risks, those don't necessarily need to become a problem. They may not become a problem. Suffering, women not coping, is normal and natural in childbirth. If you labor, it's normal and natural to have labor pains that hurt and make you feel like you're going to die. This is normal and natural. In fact, if you take 1,000 women of childbearing age and stick them in a room and they're not pregnant yet, it's normal and natural for a very large percent of those women to have issues. They may have health issues. They may have socioeconomic issues or personal issues or family issues. Same 1,000 women then get pregnant. Those issues get dragged into pregnancy. Some get worse, some disappear. Other issues come up. Then there are issues with the baby in pregnancy. You take those same 1,000 women and they're suddenly all giving birth. More issues come up. Some get dragged in before pregnancy. Some develop in pregnancy. Some develop in birth for the mother and child. That's all normal and that's all natural. And so when we consider pregnancy and childbirth normal and natural, we need to understand that anything that might happen could happen. A lot of times we understand those things. For example, there is no general risk. If you're not having twins, you do not have a risk of having twins. You're not having twins. If you have a heart problem, you might have a risk in pregnancy or in birth or after the birth with that heart problem. The risks that you have are only connected to you. But suffering is a general thing. It can happen to all of us, and it just means that we're not coping well, and we feel out of control. Let's face it as women, we feel out of control as soon as we get pregnant. We don't feel like we have control, and it irritates us. And we love aspects of pregnancy, and other aspects of pregnancy we could do without. And fathers or others who are around us, they do not understand that pregnancy is 24/7, every nanosecond of the time. And we know that pregnancy is infrequent in our lives, even if we get pregnant 20 times. The fact is it's infrequent. And compared to our lifespan, pregnancy lasts for this period of time. And birth lasts for this period of time, right? Little time. So life is compressed into pregnancy. Pregnancy is compressed into birth. But birth is lifelong memories. So we need to get really real about what pregnancy and childbirth are. It's an activity. We do the activity of pregnancy, and we do the activity of birthing our baby, no matter where we birth, no matter who's present, no matter whether we like any of it or hate all of it, no matter whether we go into it fearful or absolutely joyful. There is no correlation between anything except that it's normal and natural at the end of pregnancy that you have a birth. That's what's natural and normal, and it's natural and normal that we have to do the activity of birthing our baby. So in this lesson, you're going to explore that. And what do we hope you're going to come out from this lesson? You have to do the activity of birthing your baby. You got pregnant to have a baby, not a type of birth. And you will birth better if you have skills. Now, how should you work through this resource? We have a learning management system. It means you get lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, go on like that. You don't have to follow that order. Why should you follow that order? That's a false order. You, as a pregnant woman, should pick any skills you want to learn because you're thinking about those things. If you think, I've got good breathing skills, you may want to compare Birthing Better Breathing to what you're learning or add more. If you don't have breathing skills, you may pick that first because you've heard you should. Whatever, so you want to pick what interests you. Always. That's your job. You pick your 1, do that. You pick your 2, do that. You pick your 3, do that. You, as a birth coach, whether you're a man or a woman or a group of you, each of you pick what you want to learn. Your job to help this woman prepare her body for birth and help her cope and manage is on your shoulders. So you want to learn what you want to learn. After you've both learned your ones, teach each other. That makes it faster to learn these skills. Why are there so many skills? Because hundreds of us nitpicked our pregnancies and births. Nitpicked them. Every single gap we had, we wanted a skill to fill that gap. We wanted to birth better, and we did birth better in all births. Birthing Better Families represent all births. So, get stuck in, learn what you want to learn. The other birth coach, learn what you want to learn, then teach each other, and go on to the next. All these skills work well together. They work well in all environment. They work well with all other methods. Because the more skilled you are and the more you use skills to birth your baby, you will birth better, no matter how your birth unfolds. And that's just the truth of it.